Hello, thank you for joining in today. I'm glad you're here. I would imagine that you joined in because you saw the topic that I had put out there. Okay, so this is by no means a professional advice kind of thing. It's just take it as suggestions from one parent to the other, from one mom to another. As parents, we work very hard. We try our best to be there for our children, to do all the things that we need to do, but there are times when you've done everything you need to do and you're just needing that one more, what can I do about this? What can I do about that from another parent? And, oftentimes when that other person talks to you, it's almost like sparks off something. You're like, yeah, I knew that. So this is not professional advice. Like I said, just simple suggestions that I know work. I am someone who has always been around children from when I was younger, not necessarily my children. I've always been a mother goose and I'm very comfortable with it. I feel like it's something that God put in my spirit. I love children of all ages, and children get, pretty comfortable with me easily. The other day, someone was talking to me about another child that I am supposed to know and said something about how that while they were eating, another child said to that one, "You stink." And other kids around him started to confirm that. And this one who was talking to me was feeling so bad for that other child, both, and saying I couldn't do anything about it. So I guess the other child had some sort of, maybe I would say, body odor, which is, I would say, almost very common among, I would say, middle school kids who are going through puberty. It's almost like common to, see that that's happening with them. As parents, there are things we can do to minimize and to help our children so they can walk around confidently and obviously avoid awkward situations like that. When children are going through puberty, I'm talking about children from maybe the ages of 8 and maybe like 14, 15, maybe even a little older than that. A lot of changes happen with them. And one of the changes is the changes in their hormone, which for many people can cause some sort of body odor, especially if they are active children. Their underarm might stink, and it's not a terrible situation. It's just the child needs to know what to do. And so one of the things that I think, as a mom or dad, as a parent, you can do with your child is you can advise the child to wash more frequently. As a default situation in my home, I have a 12-year-old and I have a toddler. My child washes twice a day. This was way before puberty even came close. It's just been a normal way of life for us. And so for my children, it's like, oh, I haven't had my bath, and so we made it normal. And honestly, that happened because that's how I grew up. I grew up in a home where my mom would always want me to shower twice, my siblings and I, and so it was normal. But I know that it's not so in every home, especially in this part of the world where we have colder days than warm days. Many times, some parents don't bother with their children having showers, twice a day. Some people don't even shower every day. But I think that having your child who is going through puberty shower twice a day is something that can be helpful, especially if we're talking about an active child, of which many of them are active around this time of their lives. They're in sports, they are into more activities than usual. Again, these are mostly middle schoolers into high school, so there's always something going on with them. So having the child shower twice a day, if you can, is not such a bad idea. And I know that for some children, it's like an extra chore. But many times, instructing someone to do something is one thing. How that instruction is given is another thing. I'm a big proponent of befriending your child. I'm not saying don't set boundaries and all of that. No, there will always be boundaries with me. My mom always set boundaries. I have boundaries, but I make it easy for my child to talk to me. And I do this by also making him understand why I want him to do certain things. I'm not saying oh, I command you to go shower. No, like I explain, especially now that he's in this phase of life, I would remind him, like, you don't want to stink, you don't want to have awkward situations. And sometimes even if he's tired, that could, almost like motivate him to go shower. So that's one of the things that I think you can do as a parent. See how you can encourage your child to shower more frequently and to wash thoroughly with a soap of their choice, and as you encourage them to do this, usually when people do something consistently for a while, it can become them. This can just become a way of life for the child, where you don't have to talk about it. It becomes normal to your child to want to shower, more frequently. Okay, I wrote down a few tips and tricks that I want to share. So that's the first one that I wanted to talk about: getting your child to shower more frequently and just encouraging them to wash the important parts. I've always had conversations about my child's body with him from when he was younger. I'm doing it with my daughter now, and I think it's something that parents can do. And so when I tell him, oh, don't forget the important parts, sometimes I say it in like a fun way. I say, remember the important parts. I'm not saying those are the only parts he should wash, but I am saying that no matter what you do, because I don't know about your child, but my kid, if he has something he wants to go and do, he can zoom in and out like that. I'm like, oh, why is this part of the hair dry? I thought you were in the shower. So if you have a child who wants to zoom in and out like that because maybe they're rushing somewhere or they want to do something, you can then remind the child, don't forget the important parts. Sometimes my child can be in the shower forever and come out of the shower and this part is dry. I'm like, what? How did the water not get there? But if you have those types, you need to talk to them more. Let them know every part of your body is important, and obviously, like if you're not pointing it out, if you're just letting the child, you're telling yourself, he's a big kid, she's a big kid, they'll do whatever they want. I am not saying we shouldn't let our children, thrive as they grow. Absolutely not. But you remain the parent of that child, no matter what. If the child starts to have people making such comments to him or her and it affects their confidence, I imagine that as a parent, you will feel bad and you will wish you did something differently. So we can avoid that altogether from the beginning. Just remind them why they are doing what they're doing, okay? So that's the one thing, washing thoroughly, washing more frequently, and washing the important parts. Giving attention, good attention to the important parts, okay? Also, the other thing that I found that kids around this age like to do is, because they don't want the trouble of maybe like organizing clothes for school, they tend to want to repeat their clothes or their underwears, like their undershirts, or that, like if like in this winter month, maybe their thermal wears, because they don't want to go through the trouble of searching for a cleaner thermal wear to wear. They want something different from yesterday, or even socks, So you can try to help them see that they don't repeat their clothes. The child might feel like, oh, it's not really dirty, but if you were sweating yesterday at some points, chances are that shirt or that pants smells funny now. So it might not look dirty as you're looking at it, but it might smell. And when you clean yourself in the shower and you come out and put that back on, the smell will come right back, on you, and you start to smell like you didn't shower. So not repeating their clothes is another habit you can help them form at this time. As they get older, they'll make these choices. I mean, when they are grown and they're not with you or they don't need you, they'll be able to tell, well, this cloth might not look dirty, but it smells funny. And sometimes they know, but just the idea of like, oh, I don't want to be bothered. I have to do my homework. I have to do this. For them, it's a chore. So you can encourage them. I don't mind helping my son do that. Maybe if he's seems to be drowning in all the things he has to do, but I remind him, I'm like, this is not my responsibility. I'm helping you today. Okay. Tomorrow, organize yourself in a way that you can be ready. We have a set time at 6 p.m. every day. I encourage him to go and bring out what he's wearing to school tomorrow. And so before he goes to bed, I get to check to see if the pants is the one that is now a shorts, yet he's bringing that as pants, and it's cold tomorrow. So I get to inspect and just double check. With all the things that we have to do as parents, this might seem like that extra thing you have to do. But honestly, These are the little things that help our children have a good foundation for life. And that would have been you who did it, because you're the super hero parent, right? So I encourage you to try to see that they don't do that. Don't repeat your clothes, don't repeat your underwears, don't repeat your stinky socks. Just wear new ones. And then another topic here, another subtopic that I have here is to encourage the use of their deodorants. Believe it or not, just because you put it there doesn't mean they're going to use it. I know how many times we would ask, my husband and I would say, did you use your deodorant? He's like, sometimes he will say no. Sometimes that's the moment he's running back upstairs to go and use it. It was right there in front of him. But with all the things, with the big job of moisturizing his body and dressing up, such a big job, the idea of deodorants could just wait for tomorrow. But this is peculiar to kids around this age. It's like, okay, you know what can I skip so that my day is lighter? So remind your children to use their deodorant if you are the parent who already encourages the use of deodorant. I like the ones that are aluminum free. I think they are better as far as not discoloring their underarms and stuff. I think they're better. I actually tried to get the natural ones. So whatever you can afford, but just make sure that the child is at least using deodorant, especially if it's an active child who sweats a lot. That could help. That could really help. And of course, you want to, whether your child is male or female, there could be, what's the best way to say this? There could be different ways for them to clean themselves. What the important part is for he or she, he or she or her, or, for the girl or the boy, and you'd explain to them what they're doing according to, their sex, whether they're male or female, because for the female, there are parts you should really, really, really wash. And it may not matter if a boy washes, that part as hard as you did, but it's just generally a good idea to remind them the parts that could stink so easily when they don't, wash them. Again, this is not professional advice. This is from one parent to the other, okay? And then also teaching them to put their laundry away. I've walked into some rooms with some teenage kids and you're like, what is happening here? Yes, teaching them to put their laundry away, use your laundry bin. And then, of course, there is a way that you can guide them to organize their clothes that can prevent, this mixing of dirty and clean clothes. If they don't put their laundry away, chances are, if they are dumping their dirty clothes on top of their clean clothes, when they pick up what they consider a clean shirt, it will smell like the one from yesterday. Again, like I said, these are little things that you may not really be thinking about with all the other things that you have to do. But dad, mom, you're working hard, you're doing your best. It's not going to be so much more if you get used to doing this, to giving attention to these little details in your house, okay, for your child. And honestly, as you do your best, God helps you. If you're a Christian, as I am, you pray and ask God to help you organize yourself. For some reason, I am never too tired to make sure that these things are done with my child. And that's because in my mind, it is important. In my mind, nobody's going to do this for me. And I want to raise a confident man. I want to raise a confident woman. I want to raise someone who's clean and healthy. Besides the aesthetics and the just the natural response that they would get from their peers if they are not clean, it can actually have, health consequences. Why would someone go and not go for many days not washing their underarms? Or not taking a good shower? Another thing that I want to encourage you is, as they start to get older, as they're going through this phase, it would be good to get them a special face soap, a soap for washing their face that is different from their body soap, because the ones for the body might be a little bit heavier, but those ones for the face, I'm talking about something as simple as, just Cetaphil or CeraVe. Believe it or not, I'm not marketing them, but I know those are good products. They're clean, so you can just remind them to use it, even though my kid's zone is lasting longer than it should. And obviously that means that there are times when he doesn't use it, and maybe like I didn't get a chance to tell him to use it, but at least he has it. And I remind him when he's going, I'm like, remember to wash your face with your face soap so that your face can be clean. The other time he said to me, oh, mommy, I want to keep my baby body or my baby skin, or how did he say that? And I said to him, do the things you have to do. Do the things you have to do, and you can keep your baby skin. So yeah, if you can, see that they have a separate face wash soap, different from what they use for their bodies. So and it's up to you what brand or what type you decide to buy. And then finally, encourage them to moisturize their bodies. Also, in this phase, I noticed that kids just want to put lotion in the, I don't know, more like barest minimum. How many times would I see them outside, ashy skin everywhere? But you know that your skin is the largest organ of your body. It needs its own care. They might not be able to do, that kind of care that you need to do, but you can start to set to give them a foundation as to how to care for their skin now. And insist that they moisturize their skin. Get any nice, decent moisturizer, of your choice, but insist that they moisturize their skin. If you wash your body, you should put moisture on it. You should put back the moisture, moisturize your body. You don't want to start, in fact, sometimes I feel like I threaten my son. I tell him things like, do you want your skin to crack? I haven't really seen people with cracked skin, but I don't think it's impossible. But I say that because I know he doesn't want to hear that kind of thing. I'm like, you want to say cracks? You're going to bruise easily. Your skin is going to tear, So but I tell him these are things that are possible. So when I say that, sometimes we'll do the scratch test because he'll say, Mom, I put lotion here. And I'll say, wait, can you scratch yourself? Sometimes he'll act like he wants to scratch himself. I'm like, look at you. And I would scratch and say, look, it's white. But I try to make it fun. And you can too. Let them moisturize their body. It's important. The skin is the largest organ of the body and needs to be cared for. You want to keep the skin healthy. And one way to do that is to keep your body moisturized, especially, during the winter months or if you're in the tropics or places where you have the harmattan. Keep your skin moisturized every time, every day. But there are times of the year when the weather is a little bit more intense and, a little bit more harsh, I would say, on the skin. But just keeping your skin moisturized. I know there are adults, there are grown-ups that don't like to moisturize their body. When you're a grown-up, that's up to you what you want to do. But now that you're in my house and I am mom and you're young, I get to tell you what I think is good for you. And so, that's something that you can do for your child as well. I don't know if you have questions or you want me to talk about other things, you can leave the comments in the comment section. Or if you have ideas, tell us what are ways, if you're the mom of a child who is already going through puberty or who a big kid, tell us ways that you have encouraged them to do what they're supposed to do without it looking like an extra chore or like such a burden like they see it to be. Again, no judgment here. This is not a professional roundtable conversation. No, this is just me giving my tips and tricks. I hope it has helped you. I hope that you're going to do things a little bit differently if you haven't been paying attention, not because you don't care, but because of all the other things that you have to do. And we see you. So give us ideas of what you do, how you encourage your child. There are some children that are so good with this, but there are some children that don't even want to try at all. And then there are those ones in the middle who will do sometimes and not do at other times. But either way, be their parent through and through, up to, making sure that they're washing well, they have a nice sponge for their baths, nice soap to use, and that they're putting moisture back on their skin, making sure that they're washing all the important parts that and I know. Okay, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. I hope that this blessed you. Before I go, I just want to remind you, the Bible says that children are the heritage of the Lord and that the fruit of the womb is his reward. So, they belong to God, and, He takes care of them. The Bible also says that their angels are always before God. But as a mom, as a dad, you have this awesome responsibility of being their guardian, almost like God is trusting you with with his own, because they're his. The Bible says that they are the heritage of the Lord, but he has put them in your care. And he trusts you to do what you're supposed to do for them. And so that's why I said at some point during this video, I said you can, trust God to help you. So pray about it. Pray if you are so overwhelmed with all the other things you have to do, you can trust God to help you organize your life. You can pray about that. Me, I pray about those types of things. So some Saturdays, I'm so overwhelmed with all the things I have to do. I'm thinking, oh, what are we going to church tomorrow? Because I like to help them with the Sunday outfit. They can try to pick what they want during the week. But on Sunday, because for me, Sunday is a really special day. You're going to service in the house of God. I like them to appear well, appear nice. Well, maybe a little bit nicer than whatever they want to wear during the week. If he wants to wear an orange and a red pair of clothes during the week, that's season. But on Sunday, I want it to appear a certain way. So then sometimes if I'm overwhelmed, I can just say, dear Holy Spirit, please help me just figure this out fast. Because he wants to help you in every way. He's always there. Always there. And so you can trust him to guide you, to help you. And it won't be such a Herculean task by the time you're the one, relying on him for help with these things. But first, it has to be something that you're thinking about, which is why I'm bringing it to your attention if you haven't been paying attention to these things, or you were and then you tired out and said, you know what, whatever, they'll be fine. It's okay. It doesn't mean that you're overdoing. It doesn't mean that you're too, you're not letting them grow. No, you're helping them grow right. That's how you have to see this. And so, yeah, you can trust him for help, and he will help you because in the first place, he gave you these children. Well, again, like I said, if you want us to talk about anything you want me to talk about, you can put it there in the comment section and we will just pick up on that one next. You have a beautiful rest of your day and remain blessed. Remember that you're always in the presence of God and his angels, and that you have a responsibility to tell the next person about the Lord Jesus if they don't know him and they're in your world, then that's your job. God bless you. Bye.